So for our capstone project this semester, we have been tasked with building data sets for our company's national map application. Now, this national map application is located at this address, and basically what their goal for it is to visualize tons of different types of data. So, for example, on the left-hand side, there's a lot of different options over here, and we're able to select information, and then it'll display on the map here. As you can see, I'm looking at the water table aquifer data, whatever that means, for Australia. And as a part of this application, there's a module that lets us add custom data to the map. So what our goal is for this project is to build our own custom data sets for the map and load them in. Now, some of these data sets are formatted nicely and some of these are not. So much of the project will be aggregating the data and getting it into the correct format. Okay, so for the data we've been given to work with as a part of this project, we were given data from the New South Wales region of Australia, and this data set came pre-aggregated. As you can see, we kind of have a lot of very concise, very rounded off data here that we're going to be able to almost tie directly into the LGA fields for each of the local government areas. I guess they would be the counties, and then we're going to just attach every single one of these data points to the LGA and then be able to just give some specific details about that. But what we were given for the Victoria data set was very raw, as in each of these different data points is a household that filled out a survey about the data. So what we need to do is take this data and run calculations to aggregate it into the same format as New South Wales. So we're going to be doing that by using a PostgreSQL database and built-in functions to run some queries on it. As far as our solution for handling the data, we chose to put all of the data into a database and then work with it in there with stored queries. So just looking at our graphic here, you can tell that we have multiple different Victoria data files. Each of these contain information, for example, about people's survey results for their vehicles, people's survey results for their household. And then also we're going to be trying to get the New South Wales data to come into this database. So what we did first is we created tables in the format of the raw Victoria data, and then we ran a bunch of queries on that to aggregate and select it into a table in the type of style as New South Wales. From there, we were able to run a join on those two data sets. And then we were able to also import the LGA data into there to get our coordinates for the map. And then after that, we used queries to export the data into multiple different data files that would be able to be displayed on the national map interface. So here we have the map loaded up again, and this is going to be after we've ran all of our queries on the database, and then we've exported this file here. This file here contains all of the data from New South Wales and Victoria aggregated, so we're just going to drag it onto the map and see what we get. Now, this file is quite large. It's actually 60 megabytes. This is the version of the file that contains every single property, so in place of this, we can also export everything individually, which would lead to a lot of smaller separate files, but just as an all-in-one, we have this file. So it'll take a little bit to load up. Let's just give it a second. Alright, so we can see the results of our data here in the corner in the New South Wales and Victoria area. So the New South Wales data up in the top right by Sydney was there in the beginning. Well, it wasn't there, but it was pre-aggregated, and then we visualized that data first, and then now we visualized this Victoria data. So if we click on an LGA, we can see all of the different information related to that area that we've calculated